Hello everyone, and welcome to Star Trek Osiris, a Starbase centric game using the second edition rules used by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are two lovely individuals, hopefully three. Evans is just running a little bit late, but we're going to go ahead and get started all the same. So we will start with sound checks and introductions with Hex. Hex, anything you want to shout out and who you playing?
Yes, hello, I am Professor X. I am playing the Vinchari commander of Osiris Station, Vakobe Ka, and I would like to shout out deviled eggs. This is not an advertisement, this is just me being enthusiastic about that staple of winter foods, the deviled egg.
All right. And going to someone who has apparently made deviled eggs very recently, MGX.
Hey everyone, I'm MGX. I'm playing Lieutenant Junior Grade Talix, a Denobulan science officer. And as always, just want to shout out my friends who are watching. Appreciate you being here.
And can we get a report on the deviled eggs? Are they good? Are they bad?
The deviled eggs, well, I guess it depends on who we're asking. I think the deviled eggs are absolutely terrible. No one should eat them. But in perhaps an alternate mirror universe, they are absolutely fantastic and are, I believe, getting the paprika put on them right now. So looking forward to eating them at the cookout today.
Nice. All right.
This
Well,
bit will make absolutely no sense to anyone because it relies on a previous conversation.
it really does. All right. Well, let's run that intro video and then we'll get started proper. And welcome back. So, as is tradition, I have the players do an opening log, and I believe Commander Vakobe Ka is going to be improvising one today. So, Hex, take it away.
Oh, no, you allowed them to peek behind the curtain. No, I've written up 40,000 words. Okay. Commander's log, Vakobe Ka, reporting after a few eventful days here at Osiris Station. The changing of guard for the retiring Bajoran leader, Mr. Ukar, was relatively smooth, barring the unfortunate playing of a inferior cover of Kokomo by the Beach Boys. It was, in most respects, quite pleasant. Little did I know that this old bastion of a station still had quite a few interesting cards up its sleeve, as the early tenure of my command of this station has been interesting, to say the least. We've experienced dimensionally transcendental Vulcan shuttles. We've been present at the birth of an incredible crystalline entity's entry into this world, and we've been visited by a certified ghost ship. Fascinating, terrifying, and in keeping with what I understand about Starfleet's rich tapestry of a history. Now, with that ghost ship, the Mary Celeste, and her crew returned to Earth, life here at the station has aligned itself with my initial expectations and become more normal around here. There's still quite a scientific waiting line ready for the special shuttle of requirement, as we call it. But otherwise, the most eventful thing has been a broken gantry that nearly depressurized part of the docking ring. A bit of a temporary jolt of excitement, but things have been quiet here on the Western Front. The cardinal directions are a little wonky out here in space, but either way, I've been here at Osiris long enough to know that when things get quiet, that's when an unknown vessel approaches at high warp. So give it 20 minutes or so, and I'm sure we'll be interminably busy. Commander Vakobe Ka, out.
Very nice. And you may have momentum for that opening log. So, since we are in a bit of downtime on the station, I thought we would explore just the morning routine or the daily life of each of the characters. So I'm actually going to start with Talix. So Talix, what does your morning routine look like? What is it you are generally doing on the station during your duty shift? That sort of thing.
Well, that's a really great question because every day is a new day for Talix. And on this particular day, when he wakes up, he's going straight out for a little stroll around the station, stopping and chatting with new folks along the way. It's one of his favorite things to do. He's going to get himself a nice drink from our um, gremlin bar. They've started stocking something for him that's not so caffeinated, but still gives him enough kick to get the day started without making his face puff up like a pufferfish. And as he's strolling along, he's listening to a narrated first contact memoir. It's one of his favorite things to do is learn about how Starfleet has gone about first contact, how the Denobulans have gone about first contact over time. And he's heading on his way to get the morning meeting started with Chief Yen to discuss some of the potential archaeological and historical opportunities that he might be able to learn about through the computer logs on the ghost ship that showed up.
Okay, cool. So we'll say that Chief Yin meets you in one of the many science labs on Osiris Station. I mean, Osiris Station is quite massive, all things considered. I mean, it is a scale 8 station, so it's 2 scale less than DS9, if I remember DS9 scale correctly. But in one of the many science lab, you enter in. Chief Yin already has an extra pot of coffee on the little Bunsen burner kind of a thing. And, she looks over and goes, "Ah, Talix, good to see you. How's your morning been?"
Chief, that has absolutely been a fantastic morning so far. I have made the most of every single minute and even got to chat with a lovely gremlin who recently arrived on the station from your homeworld.
Ah, so then you have someone visiting from the ring world then.
Yes, I was able to learn so much more, building on even some of the things that you told me about regarding your homeworld. It's just been a fascinating cultural opportunity.
Well, speaking of cultural opportunities, I thought you might be interested in seeing one of the computer entries from the Mary Celeste. Apparently, they were talking about something called fencing. I have no idea what fencing is, but they apparently had regular bouts of it on the Mary Celeste before the whole ghost ship event.
Huh. Sing. I don't think I have familiarity with that either. I suppose it's a primarily human activity?
Yeah, I ran a cross reference with our own databases, and apparently you have two people on like a plank or something, and they each have these little pointed sword things, and they just sort of thrust and parry and try to knock each other off the plank. At least that's my understanding.
Well, while I'm not one for a great deal of violence, I think that might be a very interesting thing to give a try. I'm always trying to stay physically fit on this station. I wonder if it's something that we could pull up in a hollow program.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to bring up is that apparently our good commander does this for a living? Question mark. It's one of his major hobbies according to the computer. Maybe he'll know what it's actually all about.
I think that would be a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about the commander. I'll have to ask him about it next time. He's always a bit of a, shall we say, mysterious individual, but I feel like the more we learn about him, the more interesting and fully flavored he becomes.
And I think, she sort of smiles at the fully flavored comment and motions at the coffee pot. I tried something new today, by the way. Instead of it being a gremlin blend, I wanted to try a new Cardassian thing that I've heard whispering through subspace, as it were. I have no idea if it's going to be any good, but apparently the Cardassians love this stuff.
Do you think it's something that I would be able to drink?
Well, I mean, let me put it this way. I've had to bring my own thermos so that I'll be caffeinated, and she holds up a thermos. But this should be fine for you to have. I'm pretty sure anyway.
Well, I'd be more than happy to give it a try as well.
All right. So, very important roll for Talix here. I need you to roll me a fitness medicine at a difficulty of 0. Please, for the love of all that is holy, don't roll a complication.
Or do.
Or do, yeah, that'll be interesting. Just,
Do I have a focus in this particular role?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, you do. You've got several.
Awesome.
Okay, 1 success means 1 momentum, meaning you're up to 2. Yeah, Talix, I don't know how learned you are about coffee in real life, but it's kind of like the difference between, like, a regular roast and a dark roast, and the difference between, like, a normal coffee machine and, like, a French press. So, it's rich, it's very flavorful, but it also is slightly high on the caffeine count. Not as high as Gremlin coffee, but it is definitely the kind of thing that you drink and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be up for a while.
Chief, this has as we said before, full flavor. I have a feeling I'm going to be able to get quite a bit of work done today. And I probably will not be going to sleep anytime soon.
Well, that's good news, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds like we've got some interesting things before us that we might be able to dig into. So I'm ready to get this day started. Let's begin the work.
All right. So as you get to work, we're now going to do the same sort of montage sequence from Vakobe Ka. So Vakobe Ka, what does your day start with, and what are you doing?
I think as soon as Vakobe Ka wakes, he begins a sort of a stretching routine, right, to kind of limber himself up, and he is heading straight for the nearest sort of athletic or gymnasium style room to begin a bout of brisk morning fencing, as one does. He's gotten down to, like, basically he's shirtless, right? But he's wearing his these like athletic wear kind of pants, right? He's got his fencing saber on hand, and he prefers to fence with a fellow live target, although he will use like a dummy or some other kind of artificial construct or what have you. But if there's somebody available who is willing to fence the commander at 7 a.m. in the morning, then he'll take it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually was going to bring in Astrape into this. So we'll sort of set the scene and I do want to make it very clear, again, Osiris Station, very large. You have multiple gym rooms. In fact, you even have an Olympics-style pool in one of the rooms. But as you're in the fencing chamber, as I'm going to call it, working on a dummy, the door opens and in steps Astrape. Astrape, again, is the purple-hued Tenki, the sort of, how do I want to say this, not truly non-corporeal, but also not really confined to humanoid shapes. She just sort of stays humanoid for the sake of, social niceties. But today she is wearing a typical fencer's uniform, helmet under the arm, has her own saber, and she just kind of looks and says, Commander, am I early? Usually you are further along than this.
Vakobe Ka says, "You're just in time," and slashes at her.
Okay. And I think she very quickly, as she's batting away the repose of your, I think it's called a repose? I don't know, fencing. But she blocks your strike, and you both get on the platform or, the area in which you're supposed to fence back and forth. And let's make this an actual roll. So since this is a melee-centric activity, this is going to be an opposed daring and security. And I would say that the difficulty for each of you is a 1, so it really just comes down to who gets the most successes here.
Okay. All right. Here, what I'd like to do before I roll this, I would like to use well-informed.
Okay.
I'd like to give you a threat.
Okay.
And what I want to do is I want to ask 2 questions, primarily if this is legal. I want to ask 2 questions about Astrape, like what side she favors, or like what her gait is like. I'm basically going to pull a reverse Astrape, where I'm getting information on her, as opposed to her getting information about her customers.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's valid.
To give me a leg up, in this battle, in this bout.
Yeah, I like it. So we'll say, for sake of argument, that this is maybe the second or third time you've, had a fencing match against Astrape, and as you just said, you look into her further because you want an advantage. She always favors the left thrust, and she always works on the back foot, where most of her winnings come from when you overextend, and she then turns that overextension into a point, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Okay.
Now, what I'll tell you is you have a choice here. You can either say that your difficulty is now 0, so even more successes for you to start with, or you can have 3d20 to start with on your roll. Your choice.
I think I'll take the extra die. I think I'll start with 3.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a series of thrusts and slashes, contact with the sword, but none in the the torso or the arms, the traditional saber fencing kind of point spots, right?
Right.
And as Vakobe Ka is making these thrusts and slashes and parries and ripostes, he is kind of confirming his previous information, right? Watching her feet and watching the way she moves her like torso and so on. And so he's going to roll daring and security. Can cold reading apply to this as well?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Literally your power
dice.
focus.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, let's go for it. Oh God.
Oh no. All right,
oh man.
well,
Oh God. Oh man.
if she rolls at least one success here, we might have a problem. She rolled at least one success.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I can't go out like this. Can I'm going to use determination to re-roll some of those die.
Well, I mean,
Dice,
determination
sorry.
lets you re-roll as many of those dice as you wish, but what value are you tapping?
I am going to now this is not going to necessarily reflect greatly on Vakobe Ka, but I'm going to use the value push me too far and you'll see my ugly side.
Okay.
So I think the combination of it being early and his info gathering not translating immediately to to advantage or success, I think he'll get a little heated, right? And I think he will like push himself a little bit harder and faster than he normally would. He'll be a little too aggressive, I think.
Okay. So yeah, you can re-roll all the dice in your pool if you so wish.
Okay, let's just roll it again. Okay, focus, 3 die.
Okay. Now this is interesting because we actually have a tie of 1 success each of you. So what that's going to mean is that neither of you is really getting an advantage over one another. Like, obviously, you score a point here and there, but it's very close, where the point deficit is made up almost instantly. And after a particularly, powerful, kind of clash, Astrape sort of steps back, sword's still out in the ready, and she says, "Commander, are you working through something right now? You seem a little bit more energetic this morning."
Well, I woke this morning with a bit of a migraine, and the boredom, to be frank, that I've been experiencing lately on Osiris has gotten to me. I perhaps am pushing a little too hard to make something happen, and it's easy to do when you've got a blade in your hand.
And I think she kind of actually straightens up a bit, lowers her saber, and says, "You have a migraine."
Yes, it's. I'm not entirely sure why I'm feeling this pain in my head. It could be a result of the vibration of the station. The resonances are finally getting to me, or perhaps it's some kind of air pressure. I don't know. Either way, it's piercing. No pun intended.
No, no, not minded. And she actually reaches up, pulls off her helmet, and her golden eyes kind of study you and says, "Well, I mean, Commander, I don't know if you know this about the Ten Key, but we are quite literally creatures of weather, and if this is related to air pressure or anything, I actually might be able to help you with that migraine."
He kind of is, his breathing is starting to, slow down and lessen, and he's kind of like, he takes his forearm and wipes some sweat off of his brow. By the way, he's like, because his shirt's been off, you can see the bone collar kind of wrapping around his neck, right? And he says, well, it's certainly worth a shot. I would appreciate it, as long as it doesn't interfere too strongly with the work being done on the station. Can you localize it? Can you confine it to certain places?
Well, allow me to demonstrate. And she pulls off her gloves. And again, her hands are purple and crystalline and translucent, kind of a thing, almost as if she's made out of gaseous material. But she just very calmly puts a hand on either side of your head, doesn't make contact, just, kind of framing your head. And then she closes her eyes. And then there's the sensation of rain being drizzled on your head. But if there's not actual, like, rain itself, where it's just the feeling of rain that is, hitting your skull. And at the same time, there is kind of a whistling noise that is very similar to, say, a lyrebird, where, a lyrebird can mimic almost any noise, but it also has a default sort of noise that it uses for mating. But as you're feeling this sensation and as you hear this sound, the pressure in your lobes are lessening to some degree. Now, you're the final arbiter of how well this works, but I would say that Astrape is doing something beneficial for your migraine.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's Vakobe's Ka's kind of brow relaxes. You can see there's some of the tension in his body that was ramped up by the fencing bout has started to dissipate a little bit. His shoulders kind of sloop a bit. And he says, that is remarkable. I already feel an ease that I didn't think was possible today. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I realize, we're fencing against one another, but I'm always of the mind that when you fence, you should be on equal footing. It seemed only right for me to correct your malady.
I appreciate the effort, and I do want to stress, however, that this doesn't let you off the hook. I will trounce you thoroughly. Just you wait.
You may certainly try, Commander. And right as she goes to put her helmet back on and you all resume fencing, Obidus from Ops says, Obidus to senior staff, please report to Ops.
The Vakobe Ka will go, and he'll go over to the side for a second. He'll fetch his communicator. Vakobe Ka to Obidus? What's this about?
Well, sir, it's a very strange thing. We're detecting that a plasma storm is en route to the station, but there was no plasma storm on any long-range sensors. This storm seems to have literally come out of nowhere, sir.
You see Vakobe Ka kind of like close his eyes for a second and breathe through his teeth, and he'll say, finally. Right, I'll be there shortly. Vakobe Ka out.
And we do a quick cut over to the science lab where Talix and Yin are working, and you get the same message that apparently plasma storm out of nowhere.
Talix turns to Chief Yen and says, "Huh, a plasma storm out of nowhere? Have you ever heard of such a thing?"
No, I mean, every time, I mean, even an ion storm, you can detect on long range sensors well before the fact. And plasma storm is like a step up from that. So there should have been some indication that a plasma storm was on its way.
Huh. First, a crystalline entity, well, I suppose a ship of requirement, and then a crystalline entity, and then a ghost ship, and then a plasma storm? This part of space really does see quite a bit of excitement. Really seeing everything, don't you think?
Well, I do want to point out that until the new command staff, including yourself, arrived, this was a very boring assignment. So, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, this is great. On the other hand, I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I'm glad that we've brought a bit of excitement, so long as we're able to keep that excitement at a safe level. I am going to head up to Ops. I'll see you in a little bit.
Very good. And real quick, back in the fencing room, as Vokobe Kaj, you're getting dressed again. I think Astrape just sort of holds out a cordial handshake and says, "We can always resume this tomorrow, yes?"
I insist on it. And he will shake her hand.
All right. And when you actually make contact with her hand, you again feel that raining sensation, but instead of the whistling noise, it's kind of like a hummingbird wing. If you've ever heard a hummingbird wing, where it's a very slight vibration, but she smiles, shakes her hand, and says, "By the way, I thought you'd also want to know that we got a bottle of the good stuff from your homeworld whenever you drop by the bar next time."
I'll carve out a piece of my busy schedule to arrive at your place of business.
All right, well, run along. We have a plasma storm or some such. I'm sure that it's going to be a big what to do.
It almost certainly will. If you'll excuse me. And he'll make his way out, heading to the ops, to the bridge, so to speak.
All right. So, one thing I do have to ask is, are you going to change from your fencing uniform, or are you going to arrive in ops still in fencing gear?
He is going to go straight there in the fencing uniform.
Okay. So, Talix, you'll recognize the uniform from your previous conversation with GVN. But when you both arrive in ops, Obidus already has the plasma storm on the screen. And to describe the plasma storm, I have to call upon DS9 and Voyager for a moment. Do either of you two remember the Badlands as it's depicted? Kind of that swirling miasma of yellows and oranges with vortexes and tornadoes and things of that nature. Do you all remember that from DS9?
Yeah,
Yes.
vaguely. Yeah.
Okay. So this plasma storm is light years across. So this isn't just something that you could just move the station slightly to the left and it would miss you kind of thing. Like, this is a massive plasma storm. But the other thing is that since this is a plasma storm, that it is a step up from the regular ion storm. And again, to kind of paint the picture, an ion storm at a certain level is a very bad thing for a starship. Not really a threat to a star base unless it's like a class 10 ion storm. This is a plasma storm. And while the station theoretically should be able to handle a plasma storm, this isn't something the station is, shall we say, deliberately rated for, if you get my meaning.
We're going to die. That's what you're saying.
I said nothing of the sort.
Okay. Sure. I guess as Vakobeka enters ops, he will be like toweling himself off, and he'll throw the towel over his shoulder. And he'll say, have we seen any sort of flare activity within the storm? Any spots that we need to be aware of as it moves around and towards us?
Well, that seems like an excellent question for Talix and his science. So, Mr. Talix, if you could give me a reason and science, you will have a focus in astrometrics and stellar cartography. And then, Hex, if you want to grab the station is assisting with a sensor science.
Sensor science on behalf of the station.
Oh, difficulty. Difficulty is only a 1, so you already got the 1 success you need.
Perfect.
We'll roll for the station anyway. Station's got a focus, yes?
The station always has a focus.
That's right, yes.
Okay, well, it's not a 20. That's what matters. So it's weird, Talix, as, you use the old sensors of Osiris Station. They're still very powerful sensors. They're just kind of antiquated compared to, like, a modern station. But you are detecting that at the heart of this plasma storm is something similar to, like, a hurricane's eye wall, where there's, like, a particularly turbulent part of the storm that is really hard to pass through, but then there's a series of calmness in that eye, as it were. So, plasma storms don't usually have that.
Commander, there's a bit of an oddity here that I'm seeing on the sensors. It looks like this storm has a very calm point in the center, almost like an eye within the storm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant, but that's not a traditional feature of plasma storms, eh?
It's not a traditional feature of plasma storms or most storms that I know of out here in space.
Unless there's a series of galactic hurricanes I'm not aware of, yes. Now,
Indeed.
could this be an indication that this storm, given its rather sudden appearance, was intentionally generated?
Intentionally generated? Huh. I suppose that could be a potential hypothesis here, just not something I am sure I would know how it would get generated. It's rather large. It would require quite a bit of energy to get something like this started.
Well, given our experiences here at Osiris Station, I think we've put to proof the idea that energy is out there and can be gotten a hold of in abundance, whether you change the interior physics of a shuttle or you stumble across crystalline birthings.
Or if there's a being that possesses you and speaks to you through your own mouth. It's been a very interesting few weeks, has it not?
That is an understatement, Lieutenant. How are our shields?
And an officer reports, well, sir, we should be okay if we reroute power to the shields. My only concern is, based on the size of this storm, is that we're going to have to really be on the ball when it comes to keeping power at proper levels, sir.
Right, let's go to yellow alert, make sure the shields are up, and take all non-essential systems and reroute their power to shields to ensure that we endure whatever this is, be it benign intergalactic weather or something more sinister.
All right. So, what this is going to mean, and this is kind of a introduction of the new talent that the Starbase has, is that this is going to be a use of reserve power. And if you really want, you can spend 2 momentum immediately to retain reserve power. So you would basically get the buffed shields for free.
What do you think, Alex?
I think that it leaves us with no momentum and lots of threat on the other side, but it feels like for the station at large, it is probably the correct choice.
Well, if it changes your mind, chat just gave you momentum, so you're up to 3 momentum.
Then I think that solidifies it.
Yes, let's regain reserve power because we never know when we might need it.
Okay.
Actually, I do know when we're going to need it, which is like 10 minutes from now.
Yeah. Okay, so you go back down to 1 momentum. And yeah, as the station goes to yellow alert, as everybody gets to, their appropriate duty stations, you basically watch the storm get closer and closer and closer. And eventually, you are then hit by the front of the storm. So outside, we see this wave of yellows and oranges sort of slam into the starbase. We see the shields, flickering and holding against the bulwark, holding against the storm. And, the power on the starbase flickers a little bit. But after, a few moments of, the wave front hitting you, power stabilizes and you're in the clear. You are within the front of the plasma storm, and you seem to be doing all right. However, I am going to spend 4 threat. Since we only have 2 players with us today, I only need to spend 2 per player, so that's 4 threat. To say that, as you're like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad, Commander, you get a call from Astrape. And Astrape says, Astrape to Commander Vokobe Ka. Do you have a moment, sir?
Astrape, things are a little bit busy up here on Ops. What is it you require?
Well, I thought you would be interested to know that there is a Klingon in my bar. A very confused Klingon who literally transported in here moments before.
Come again?
Transported Klingon came out of nowhere, looks very confused. My security officers are doing their best to keep him from being violent, but you might want to come down here, sir.
Very well. I'll make my way down to the promenade. Be there shortly. Vakubeka out. Right, Lieutenant. I need you to keep monitoring the storm. The minute it shifts or shapes itself into something truly dangerous, alert me as soon as possible. That way we can go to red alert and make sure that our shields are at maximum efficiency and strength.
Indeed, sir. I will keep monitoring the situation from up here. And if there's anything that you need me to do regarding this new Klingon who transported in while our shields were up, I'd be happy to investigate.
I might call on your expertise shortly to determine whether or not this is actually a Klingon. There is a possibility that it is a biological costume, as it were. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right, hold down the fort, everyone. I'll return shortly.
Alright. So we cut to Astrape's bar. Again, one of the best bars on the station. But what's probably the most important part is that in the main sort of entryway, there are a number of station security officers doing their best to corral a very confused and a very combative Klingon. The Klingon is in the stereotypical garb of a Klingon, so the shoulder pads, the armor, etc., etc. He does not have a bat'leth on him, nor does he have a dick-tag dagger, but he has picked up a chair and is like thrusting and trying to keep people away from him using this chair. Astrape is at the bar itself, and as you come in, Commander, she just sort of is very calmly cleaning a glass, as bartenders are wont to do, and she says, as I said, Commander, there's your Klingon. I don't know how he got in here, but have at it. Have fun.
Right. While I'm busy, just make sure that those glasses are spotless.
Of course, that's what bartenders do is we clean the same glass over and over to get that very, very annoying spot out of them.
Bukobika will kind of like very softly roll his eyes at her and then just make his stride his way towards the Klingon in a calm but firm approach, right? That indicates that he is not afraid of the Klingons flailing, right? And is trying to like match his like stance. He's trying to like match power for power.
Right. All right. Why don't you give me a presence and command? I will say this is a difficulty of 3.
Okay, my presence and my command are pretty good. Let's see. Would the focus damage control apply here?
I could.
Because I think what Vukobika, as he's approaching, wants to do is just kind of like put his hands up in a kind of a firm gesture and a kind of a protective, hopefully calming gesture, and say something to the effect of, "Attention, you have somehow arrived at the Federation Starbase Osiris Station. We do not mean you any harm. We understand that you might be confused, panicked, agitated. We don't want to take advantage of you. We do not want to confuse you further. We want to establish a dialogue. But in order for that to happen, you've got to put your weapon down."
All right. Yeah. And like I said, presence command, difficulty of 3. You have a focus. You have 1 momentum if you need it.
I will just roll the 2 dice because I think that's more interesting.
Okay, fair enough. Oh,
this is not my day.
No, it really is not your day. So I think what's going to happen is you step forward and try to calm the Klingon down. The Klingon is going to hit you with the chair. And Vakobe Ka, you have the choice of either taking 3 stress damage or you can be knocked out by this chair.
I'm going to take the 3 stress.
Okay.
I'm going to go down to 5. I guess I'll say I technically when you take stress it's an avoidance of damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like narratively speaking, right?
Right.
So I think he will just sort of have to like basically tuck and like Dark Souls roll out of the way as the chair comes down, and he'll kind of like get back up, and now that same sort of like heated quality that he showed in the fencing bout earlier is starting to take over him again. Because his migraine is not entirely gone either, and now things have gotten very complicated around the station. So he'll say, "All right, I warned you. If you don't put that weapon down, the chair, the weapon, both, we will restrain you and subdue you. Is that clear?"
And he shouts something in Klingon, which, for the sake of our under 18 viewers, I will not translate.
Sure. It's highly erotic.
Violent, erotic. What's the difference? It's Klingon.
Yeah, same thing for them.
Yeah.
I guess if he doesn't respond, then Vakobeka will try to essentially go underneath and kind of like try to pin his arms and kind of gesture to the Astrape's security guards to like take advantage of the situation and like restrain him while he's trying to disarm the Klingon, right?
Okay. Well, let me roll for the Klingon first. I'll give him a threat. I'll give him 3 dice to keep things interesting.
Of course.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Vakobe Ka, I need to see 4 successes from you on a daring security.
So the number 4, right? The one that's higher than 3? That's the one. That's the number you want? Okay. That's not great. I'm not in love with that.
I mean, he literally rolled a 2, which is a crit, an 8, and a 4. That 4 was almost a second crit.
Okay. So this is what is it?
Daring
Fitness
security.
and it's daring security.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I
Okay.
don't know that you have a focus here.
I do not. I don't think damage control works here anymore.
Right.
Oh God. I'm not entirely sure that just as a base roll that I can make this.
I mean, you could simply choose to fail, and that could be an interesting story beat.
You know what? I'm still gonna give it the old college try.
Okay.
Right. I will take 1 momentum. I'll add a die, so I've got 3 dice. Okay. No focus, and a narrow window. But let's just see what happens.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
Cool and great.
All right. So I think what's going to happen is you try to come in with the security officers to restrain the Klingon. The Klingon is having none of it and wields his chair in almost like a Dahar master like way. And I think this time, Vokobeka, it's one of those frozen moments in time where you see the chair coming and you realize there is nothing you can do to stop it. That you are about to be lights out if this chair hits you. Like there's nothing you can do. And I'm actually going to take threat for that complication because right at the last moment when you're like, well, I'm about to go out for the night, kind of a thing, what happens is a beam of fire fires out from Astrape's hand and impacts the chair, throwing the Klingon back. And that is enough of a disruption for the security officers to dogpile the Klingon. But you're fine, Vokobeka, but you look back at Astrape. And Astrape, again, normally very purple, very lightning-esque, she now looks like a burning sun kind of a thing. So she's orange and yellow, and her horns, such as they were, have become more of a halo rather than horns. And there's like little streams of fire in between the halo, if that makes any sense.
Yes. I think Vukobeka will kind of get back up from where he stumbled and was almost going to be hit by the chair. He'll shout to the security guys, "Restrain him, remove any additional weapons, and throw him in the brig."
Aye, sir.
And then he'll turn to Astrape and say, "Are you all right?"
And she closes her eyes, takes a deep breath in, and then before your very eyes, she returns to the normal lightning purple, and she says, "Sorry, Commander, I just didn't want to see you get brained. Not something I want in my bar."
I appreciate that, lass, but don't do it again. The use of any weapons on board this station that aren't Starfleet approved rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, don't you worry, sir. I don't plan on using it again unless it means the saving of somebody important.
Yes, now that particular instance I'm willing to overlook protocol. Now, when this Klingon arrived, it was transported here. Was there any sort of sign beforehand? Any atmospheric disturbance? Any noise of any kind? Did the effect look like that of a transporter?
Well, let me think. There was the scent of ozone, which I thought might have just been me, but there was the scent of ozone, and then there was kind of a uptick in the pressure of the room, and then he just sort of popped into existence and have the normal transporter effect. He just, one moment he was not there, and the next he was.
That reminds me of a certain plasma storm. I don't think it's too out of place to connect these two events. The reason why escapes me at the moment, but at least I have a functioning brain to make those connections thanks to you.
No, you're quite welcome. I'll put it on your tab. And she winks.
Right. All right, I'm headed to the brig. If any more unusual characters show up, let security know as soon as possible. In fact, and he'll touch his communicator. Vocomicatu security, reinforce the staff at the Strapes bar with additional security personnel.
Aye, sir.
Let me know as soon as possible if you get any more uninvited guests. I have an interrogation to attend to.
Best of luck with that, sir.
He starts to exit, and then he looks at one of Astrape's house chairs and says, "Can I borrow this?"
Certainly, as long as you bring it back.
He picks it up and says, "Can't guarantee that." And walks through the station with carrying this wooden chair alongside him.
Love it. All right, well, let's cut back to Talix for a moment. So, Talix, is it fair for me to assume that as you were instructed, you've been monitoring the storm, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, why don't we explore that a little bit? Is there anything in particular you're focused on?
And just to make sure I'm understanding right now, we are in the storm. The station is within the storm, right?
Correct.
Okay. And is there a known distance for the eye of the storm to where we are in the station?
There is. It is, if you were to be like a top-down view of the station and the plasma storm, the station would be, of course, center of the map, and then the quote-unquote eye of the storm would be slightly north-northwest.
So does the eye look like it's on track for the station?
It looks like it'll graze the station, if you get my meaning.
Yep. So I think Talix would want to first off scan the storm to see if there are any known life signs,
Okay.
and would also want to scan around the eye to see if there are any ships or any other type of strange elemental signatures that we might be able to pick up to determine what might be causing that eye, or just more broadly the storm to appear.
Okay. So, for you, it's going to be a reason science. The Osiris Station will assist you with a sensor science. However, I am going to tell you that this is going to be a difficulty of 4. But as a reminder, you have reserve power on Osiris Station at the moment, which means you could, theoretically, have Osiris Station start with 2 free successes. It would just mean using reserve power is the trade-off.
And then the reserve power would not be available again.
Until somebody did regaining that power, correct.
Gotcha. Okay. I think in this case, it feels helpful to be able to scan what's out there. Would we be able? Do we have to make the decision on reserve power before the roll?
Before your roll, no.
Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and roll and see where we land.
Okay.
And I'm good with a focus in.
Yeah, you have
the
multiple
aftermath.
focuses here.
Awesome.
Okay, so you do need 2 more to succeed here.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can guarantee a success if we use reserve power, or chance it with the station's combined score of 12.
Commander, I was wondering if we could use our station's reserve power right now to scan the storm to perhaps see if there are life signs or if there are any strange factors that could be causing this storm.
How are the shields holding up?
And I think
As
Hobidus reports 84%, sir.
As Kobika is talking, you're hearing like a chair scraping in the background. He says, permission granted.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Sounds like we're using reserve power.
Yes.
Now, one thing I would say real quick is that, again, you do have secondary reactors. You could theoretically give me 2 threat to keep reserve power.
Once again, you know my position on giving ELH threat.
And we've
It's well
certainly
documented.
seen how the threat has gone today so far.
Well, hold on. Let me say what you're supposed to say in this instance, which is, how much worse could it get?
Indeed. How much worse can it get?
I don't know. Do we have devil eggs on hand? I mean, you know.
Your terrible, terrible deviled eggs.
Truly the worst ever.
Mm-hmm.
I vote giving him threat.
Okay. I'm with. That's what I was going to say too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you will retain reserve power. Now,
Perfect.
the good news, you did pass this roll, no complications, so I'm going to give you everything. So the first thing is that yes, there are approximately 200 Klingon life signs within the plasma storm. And they are localized within the eye of the storm, where there is a Klingon warship within. However, this is a warship that is not known by any Klingon configuration. I mean, obviously you can tell it's Klingon because of the duranium makeup and the general profile, but this is a warship that highly experimental or from another reality. You know, there's a billion different things it could be. All you know is that there's a Klingon warship at the eye of the storm that is otherwise housing about 200 Klingons.
Talix to Commander Vakobeka.
Kobika,
So, sir, just to confirm, you do have a Klingon, or when you went down, you were able to confirm that we have a Klingon on board, correct?
that's correct. He is in the brig, awaiting my enthusiastic interrogation. Why?
Indeed, sir. It appears that he might have a set of colleagues and friends that are also out in this storm. It looks like there are roughly 200 of them on board a Klingon ship that is situated directly in the eye of the storm.
When it rains, it pours. Right. Well, Lieutenant, that's 199 Klingons too many. Is there any indication about the warship's intent? Does it seem to be frozen inside the eye of the storm? Is it on an intercept course with us?
Well, sir, it appears that the eye of the storm is going to graze right over the station, and I've tried to cross-reference this particular ship's configuration with our Starfleet database, and it does not appear to be one that we have seen before. It appears to be something new.
Lieutenant, I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little tired of seeing vessels that break our understanding of starship construction.
Well, sir, you know I'm always up for the unexpected, but I too have been perplexed by the recent amount of unexpected items that we've seen.
Right. Keep monitoring the Klingon ship within the eye of the storm. Ensure that the shields are at a decently high percentage to protect the station. I will try to extract some information from our captive Klingon here, and when I have more information, I will report to you. What a novel idea, as soon as possible.
Indeed, sir. Would you like us to attempt to hail the vessel?
Yes, yes, I think shouting over a plasma storm at a group of 200 Klingons would be a great idea. Yes, please, by all means. That wasn't sarcasm. I did actually mean you to do that.
Sir, you surprise me every day, as I wasn't quite sure. But I will attempt to contact the vessel and see if they respond.
And survey
Very
says
well.
the Klingon vessel does not respond, unfortunately.
Sir, it
Big,
appears that we've received no response from the Klingons.
big surprise. All right, continue monitoring the storm and maintaining the shield levels. I'll be back with some intelligence. Okobeka out.
All right. So we move to the brig of Osiris Station, and what I'd like to imagine is it is. Trying to remember my own notes here. I think there's probably 3 such brigs like this in the station. And it's not like Odo's on DS9 where you actually have to go through the security office and then there's that sliding wall that comes down. The brigs on Osiris Station are more just giant rooms with a bunch of cells in them, obviously secured by force fields and wandering officers. So normally all that's really in here are drunks or, someone that got a little bit heated. So for the sake of argument, most of this bay, this brig is otherwise empty. But the Klingon has been put into one of the cells. The force field is up, and the Klingon is just pacing back and forth, shouting Klingon epithets, kind of a thing, as you walk up to him.
Vukobika will approach the force field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Holding the chair aloft, and then he will stand there wielding the chair and staring into the Klingon's, face for an uncomfortably long time,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually set the chair down and sit on it, and then just, look at the Klingon pacing around inside.
Okay. So I think the Klingon just continues pacing for a while, and then eventually he sits down and he gives you Gowron eyes, the special eyes.
Oof. Yeah, those are huge.
Uh-huh. But he smiles and says, "So you have trapped me. Is this what Greythor is like?"
Now, do I recognize what Greythor means?
You would. Greythor is, at least in Klingon mythology, is where the dishonored go when they die.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure necessarily if Kobe Ka would have known that already, but that's good. That makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the commander will say, as confusing and disorienting as this whole experience has been to you, I have good news. This is hardly your version of hell, Klingon. We're just the station, nothing more.
And I think he kind of lowers his Gowron eyes to about 75%. And he says, "Then this is not Greythor. Then there is a chance to reclaim our honor."
How precisely did you lose your honor, warrior?
And you can see he starts to answer, but then he hesitates and he says, "How do I know this isn't some Romulan trick?
Well, that's an easy answer, sir. You don't. However, I'm the only one speaking to you, and I am in charge of this station, so if there's anyone who can help you regain your well-deserved honor, it's me.
Well, Vakobeka, that feels like a presence in command. I do believe that this does trigger your rousing speaker talent, so you can reduce the difficulty from a 3 down to a 2.
I will do so. Okay, presence in command, rousing speakers, reduce the difficulty. Okay, what else? I don't really think any of these focuses apply here.
Nah, unfortunately not.
It's a bit of a stretch to do either cold reading or damage control.
Yeah, they're
It's
a
more
little
of-
bit too far out there this time.
This is more of a hot reading. We have no momentum, and I don't want to give you any more threat. Okay, here we go.
Oof.
What is happening?
Oof. I think that's like, if I were to scroll back up, I want to say that you have rolled consistent 18s today.
I've gotten so many 0 successes. I'd like to announce here on this stream that I am retiring from RPGs. It's over. I'm too old. Put me out to pasture.
I mean, if we were playing D&D, this would be great, but no, this is Star Trek Adventures. So, I'm just looking at your values here to see if there's anything you could challenge, perhaps.
Somebody suggested rebooting Foundry. Yeah, let's do that. Let's turn it off and turn it on again.
No, I think unfortunately, unless you want to challenge a value somehow, I think you just fail.
Let me take a look at my values here, right?
Like I'm trying to twist a few values, but they're not connecting in my brain about how to challenge them.
Yeah. Okay, here's an example. Okay. Previously, Vakobeka kind of went against his instincts when he gave the crystalline entities the power to have their birth without having all the information or all the intelligence first. We went on a kind of a gut instinct, a gut check. And I think he will probably challenge verify then trust. Okay. I think.
Well.
And what he will do is he will see that the Klingon is not really responding to what he's saying, and he will just go and turn off the force field to the brig.
Okay. So that does give you a point of determination back, which you probably want to immediately use to re-roll those dice.
Yes, I do.
And surely you can't roll another 0 success.
Oh
surely.
No, don't say that. Why did you say that?
Because I have to.
I think once he turns the force field off, Vakobeka will say, "Look, I do not cage you. I make you free, like the proud warrior you are. All I ask is that you listen, and you join with me, arm to arm, in restoring honor and glory for your people."
All right, we need to see at least one success on this reroll, I believe. Okay, there's your 2. Good. Okay. So the speech and the lowering of the force field is enough to win this Klingon over. And he does stand when you turn off the force field, and he does make a move as if he's going to punch you or something. But instead, he kind of does the Klingon thing where he clasps your shoulder with one of his hands and shakes it and says, "Very well. I will tell you of what I know, but what I tell you does not leave this room."
Vakobeka will tap his communicator, and he will say, "Vakobeka to operations. Cut off audio-visual recording to the brig.
and you get a confirmation that that is done.
All right, warrior. You're free to speak in confidence.
Very good. My name is Captain Dole, and I'll put that in chat. He is Captain... There's an apostrophe in there, even. My name is Captain Dole. I am with Klingon Intelligence. We were testing a prototype vessel out in the deepest recesses of space where it would not be spied upon when two of our technologies failed in dramatic fashion.
I see. Are you at liberty to discuss either of these technologies?
Well, as I'm sure you're aware of, one of those technologies is the creation of temporary plasma storms around the vessel. And as you probably well know, my vessel's currently in the middle of said plasma storm. We have been working on a way to turn that technology off, but it has begun a wildcat destabilization that if it is not turned off shortly, then it will detonate, causing an even worse explosion of plasma. That is why we angled for your station in the hopes that someone aboard would be able to correct this problem.
I see. Well, we have many wise and learned engineers and scientists aboard Osiris Station. I believe we can save you and your crew and us from a possible plasma holocaust that you're describing.
The other
what
thing...
of the second...
Okay,
yes, the second technology.
And at this, even with you hit the trust and the rapport you're building, he definitely hesitates and says, the second technology is something that we admittedly stole from your Federation. I need your assurance that if I tell you what it is, you will not hold it against us.
You see, Vukobeka's brow kind of like furrows. He's thinking internally that like he's probably bound by Starfleet rules and regulations to like, you know, to report all this stuff, to record it in the logs and let them know about, you know, especially theft from the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, this is a very delicate situation, right? That could lead to the Osiris Station just simply not existing anymore. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. I think it will take a moment, maybe a little too long, so that the Klingon starts to get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But he will eventually sigh and say, "You have my assurance."
Then I will tell you that the reason I came to your station is by the creation of a spore-based transporter. Now, Vukobeka, no idea what a spore anything is. Out of character, do you know what spore technology is, or should I explain it?
I do, because that's the Discovery thing, right? The mycelial network?
Yep,
right?
That is the Discovery thing, where they basically travel through the mycelial network to literally show up anywhere, kind of a thing.
Right, yes. Yes, I am aware of that. Vukobeka does not. Is not aware of that. So
correct.
I think Vukobeka will give the Klingon a very puzzled look and then sort of shake it off and then say, right, do any of your personnel on board your ship, do they have any theories or plans as to how to prevent this catastrophic plasma explosion?
We do. However, if we were to shut off the vessel, our vessel would no longer be able to produce any form of matter-antimatter reaction. In short, we would be helpless, and anyone could come and steal our prototype technologies. Basically what he's saying is, yeah, we can turn it off, we just can't turn it on again.
Sure. I think Vukobeka will activate his communicator and say, Vukobeka to Lieutenant Talax, what's the status of the storm?
There has not been any major change outside of it continuing to progress over us.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and spend 4 threat to say that the storm has increased in ferocity, in that your shields have now dropped to 54%.
Commander, I'd like to revise that previous report. It appears that the storm has increased significantly, and we are seeing some challenges for the station. The shields have dropped, and we're a little over 50% at this point in time.
Acknowledged. I will give you further orders momentarily. Go back out. And he'll look back at the Klingon and say, "You have my assurance as a fellow warrior and a fellow man of honor that I will do my utmost to protect you and your crew, protect the integrity of your vessel, and to make sure that your experimentations are forgotten in the name of continued galactic safety and peace."
And I think Captain Dole kind of, again, shoulder shakes you and says, "Very well. Then gather your finest engineer and scientific personnel, and I shall transport us directly to my vessel."
Very well. And he will gesture for the Klingon to follow him out of the brig temporarily, right, into the, one of the hallways, right? And he will say, "The Komikato Engineering, if you could please, I require a, I guess it wouldn't be a transporter lock, because that's, the Klingon is administering that, right? He would ask Chief Yen, I guess, who would be the highest ranking, engineering type on the ship, right?
At the moment, since Evans
the
is
station,
there.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So he would ask Chief Yen to I guess to rendezvous in front of the brig.
Okay.
And then when they arrive, he would give the Dole the go-ahead to transport the 3 of them aboard the Klingon vessel.
Okay. Maybe I'll throw a bone here. Do you also want to bring on Talix? That way Talix has something to do.
Oh, I wasn't sure if we had the room to do so. Yes, of course. Yeah, if Talix is available, absolutely. If he's not too busy, preventing the station from disintegrating.
I think Talix will be able to clear his schedule. He's happy to join.
All right. So you all rendezvous in front of the brig, along with Chief Yin, and the Klingon opens up a hidden panel on his gauntlet and begins tapping in a few buttons and says, "All right, this is going to be very disorienting if my arrival in that bar was any indication. You may also taste the color purple."
Vukovica will kind of like raise an eyebrow and look at Talix.
And then
taste the color purple?
Yes, you'll see in a moment. And the Klingon pushes a button, and all of you are shunted through the mycelial network to his vessel. Now, what that looks like to you is that for a very brief moment, you basically are transported into a very blue space with just these bands and strands of energy that go across the entire universe, where you literally see the fabric of reality, kind of a thing. And then you do taste the color purple, which, I think everybody has tasted the color purple if you've ever had Kool-Aid. If you haven't had Kool-Aid, maybe that's my deviled egg. Where I had Kool-Aid, you had deviled eggs. That's the difference between us, kind of a thing.
That's a disgusting Thanksgiving, I gotta say.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But you taste the color purple, You see sound. You just there's your mind is trying very hard to make any sense of what it's experiencing. And then all of a sudden you are in the hallways of a Klingon vessel. And you are momentarily disoriented, and that's going to cost 2 stress from everyone. But you are safely aboard the Klingon vessel. And in fact, as Captain Dole kind of shakes off his own disorientation, another Klingon comes running up and says, "Captain, have you acquired an engineer to perhaps fix this problem?" And the captain says, "Yes, I have." And he looks down at Chief Yin, the gremlin. "This thing, I don't know what it is."
This doll is Chief Yin, one of my finest engineering officers. A person of great importance to you within the next few minutes.
All right, well, Chief Yin, whatever species you are, how are you well versed in quantum dynamics? And because this is technically an activation for Chief Yin, you all could give her a focus in quantum dynamics if you really wanted to.
I don't see why not.
That feels right.
Okay, let's add that to her sheet then. You all can see her sheet though, yeah?
Let's double check. Yes.
Okay. Because one of you, probably Talix, so because I feel like Vakobe Ka's done a bunch of rolling, so we'll let MGX do the rolling here. So Chief Yin is escorted along with Talix to the main reactor room. And what I'd like you to imagine is a Klingon reactor, at least to my understanding, is very much a horizontal warp core where there's 2 sort of golden, sort of capsule-like structures on either side of the actual intermix chamber. So, matter flows from the right, antimatter flows from the right, or left, you know what I mean. They flow from either side, they meet in the middle, and then the reaction energy is shunted throughout the ship. Normally, that reaction on a Klingon vessel is supposed to be gold. In this case, it is a very, very deep red. And one of the engineers, after Captain Dole introduces everybody in the away team, the Klingon engineer says, "Well, Captain, as far as we can tell, the Wildcat destabilization, we have 30 minutes before everything goes up in smoke, and we do truly arrive in Greythor." And I think Dole kind of looks at you, Vakobe Ka, Talix, and Yin, and says, "Then you have 30 minutes before we all die and go to the dishonored end."
No pressure. Right. So is Chief Yen kind of taking a point here in the solution development?
Yes, but Talix can also assist, so I'll let you all determine who's assisting whom. But to diagnose the problem, this is going to be a reason and engineering at a difficulty of 3.
Reason engineering.
Okay.
I would like to... Okay, hold on. So Chief Yin is the primary roller, and then Talix is assisting.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wanted to assist, we would need momentum, but which we don't have.
Could you also give me a threat? That is always an option.
Stop saying that. What was the difficulty again?
3.
3. That's doable between the two of you. I think so.
That seems right.
And yeah, Yin has a focus here for sure. Looking at Talix would also have a focus here.
Yeah, that's doable, surely. I should stop talking.
In before 20s.
Okay, so I'll do Chief Yen's roll first.
Okay. Well, there's 120.
Yikes. And then for my assist, is there something that I need to tie to it?
No, just remember on an assist you only roll the 1 die.
The one, you got it. And it's reason engineering.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I can offer you a success with 2 complications.
Hold on.
Hmm.
Can I advise? I'll give you a threat
Uh-huh.
and assist by coordinating between Talix, Chief Yen, and the Klingon crew.
Okay. And I believe you're trying to trigger advisor there.
That's correct, yes.
So let's see your presence command first, because that could matter.
Does damage control apply here?
It does.
Okay. 2 dice. Damage control
Nope, just
focus.
just one dice.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So we'll take that 10, unfortunately. So that is 3 successes, and it does allow Yin to reroll that 20.
Could it be worse?
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's 1 in 400 odds to roll another 20.
Maybe it's a 21 this time. Maybe that's a double, an ultra complication.
An ultra complication. There you go. There you go. All right, so that is 4 successes, and you finally have momentum back in the pool. So I think Yin, working with all of you, she kind of studies the reactor, scans it a few times with her tricorder, and says, well, captains, commanders, I have good news and bad news. The good news is I can stop this thing. The bad news is that the Klingons aren't going to like the fact that my fix is going to render their technology inert.
I guess Vikobeka will turn to Captain Dahl and say, all right, Captain, it's up to you now. What is more important to you? The opportunity to continue fighting and regaining your honor and the honor of your crewmates? Or holding on to your precious technology, some of which you borrowed?
I think I speak for all Klingons aboard when I say that there is no greater dishonor than dying with our tail tucked between our legs. You, gremlin, do whatever it is you need to do. And Yen kind of snaps a cheeky salute. And now is the main role to solve things. So this is the role. If you ever want to spend determination, if you ever want to tap values and talents, this is the time to do it. So the main role is a daring and engineering. Yin has a focus of power systems. Talix, if you assist, you are doing a control and science. You have a focus in research. And Vikobeka, if you want to assist, you are doing a control and security, and damage control is a focus. The difficulty. The difficulty is a 5. And unfortunately, Yin does not have a value, so she cannot use determination.
Right.
But by my count, Talix still has their determination.
Yes, that's correct. And I would be more than happy to use it.
Now, what is the control security role for, ELH?
This is basically you following Yin's ability or instructions to say, hey, disable this safeguard now. This thing,
okay.
This thing that I'm about to do is going to make the Klingons very unhappy. Basically keeping the ship from turning on you.
Right. Okay. I see. Well, I'm willing to give you. I know it goes against everything I believe in. I'm willing to give you a threat so that I can assist with this roll.
Okay.
And then that frees up the momentum to give another die to Chief Yen, right?
Or Talix. In fact, let me look at the sheets.
Or Talix.
So I think Yin has a 14 and Talix has an 11, and Talix could use the determination on an assist if they didn't want to do the main roll.
Yeah, I'll use my determination.
Okay. Which value are you tapping?
Oh, it says on the sheet here, doesn't want to die.
I would say probably application is more valuable than theory.
Okay. So we're starting with 2 free successes off the bat. Talix doesn't need to roll anything because their assist has already become a 1. So Yin needs to get, and Vakobe Ka, between the two of you, I need to see 3 more here.
And we're giving the momentum to Yin?
I believe so is the call, yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, for Yen, what was the role?
It is a daring and engineering.
Daring engineering. Got it. With a focus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask once again if damage control applies here.
It does.
Okay.
All right, well, there's already 4 successes, so we're sitting at 6.
Okay, just the 1 die. Here we go.
7 successes. Well done. So you actually get 2 momentum back. And yeah, with the 3 of you working together as a team, you are able to shut down the experimental plasma storm generator. And outside, if we look at the station and the Klingon vessel, we see the plasma storm begin to evaporate away until it is just empty space again. And we finally see that the Klingon vessel looks very, very similar to one from a certain Star Trek Armada game, aka the Feklir class. If you don't know what the Feklir class is, look it up. It's a very cool Klingon vessel. But the side effect is that when you turn off this technology, there's a cascade of sparks and bursts of rock from the ceiling kind of a thing, and the Klingons burn out their entire drive kind of a thing. So they can't use spore technology anymore. They can't make plasma storms, but they can still get home under their own power, if that makes any sense.
That's ideal.
Mm-hmm. And I think Captain Dole kind of looks at everybody and goes, well, we have been set back tremendously in the loss of our technologies, but Klingon intelligence will be able to recover this vessel, and that is very important. You have my thanks, Commander Vakobe Ka, Lieutenant Junior Great Talix, and Chief Yin.
Captain Dole, I want you to remember this moment. Especially so when your people's intelligence services and their military find themselves on the war footing again and want to possibly use this technology against the Federation or any other world. Remember that we didn't have to do this, but we extended a hand of friendship, we trusted you, and we overlooked your slight against us in the interest of continued peace and security. Just remember that.
I think all of Kronos will remember it. And he offers you a handshake, a Klingon handshake, but a handshake all the same.
I think Vakobe Ka will instead do the Predator clasping instead.
Okay.
The whole, forearm clasping Dylan, you son, that whole thing.
That whole thing. Okay. And of course the Klingon, he gives it back and he says, Kapla, you have done us great honor today. Now, if it's not an imposition, I would ask that you return to your station. There is still much technology on this vessel that is classified among Klingon intelligence.
He will turn to Vukovica will turn to Talex and say, "Well, I haven't seen anything. Have you, Lieutenant?"
Commander, I don't even know what you're talking about. Of course, I've seen nothing.
Right. Well, there's nothing here to report on, so thank you for having us aboard, Captain, and we will be on our merry way.
All right. And our sort of ending shot is you all beaming, transporting back to the station, and then the Feklir class jumps to warp and cloaks and goes about its mysterious Klingon intelligence ways. But that is where we'll end today's session, and well done overall.
We made it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I rolled several zeros in a row.
Yeah, that did happen.
Well, we rolled well where it counted.
Yeah, you got the big rolls, which is what matters.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to rate somebody, but YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye-bye, YouTube.